Tonight, an inquiry into food supply chains kicks off, hope to support regional farmers. And a Broken Hill woman takes border closures into her own hands.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening. Supermarkets are under the spotlight with the federal government launching an investigation into the mistreatment of suppliers. Some local farmers say major retailers have a reputation of putting increased pressure on growers as supermarkets continue to try to drive down prices.
A sour taste in the mouths of farmers.
An average produce you buy from the supermarket, 50% of that income goes to the supermarket and 5% goes back to us as growers.
The situation has sparked the federal government to step in. The Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, tasked with investigating the conduct of supermarkets with farmers, set to identify issues in the domestic fresh food supply chain.
It's aimed at that relationship between growers, producers, manufacturers and the big markets.
Some farmers say they're continuously at loggerheads with major retailers who they say seemingly threaten farmers to sell their produce on the cheap.
They'll often say, well, this is the new price. If you don't like it, we can get it from next door. And so you'll continually hear those sort of stories about supermarkets playing one off against the other.
Local growers say once farmers' produce is sent to market, they have little bargaining power and are often at the mercy of major retailers when it comes to the price they're paid.
We continually get this pressure downwards on the prices that we sell our grain for and our produce, and yet our inputs continually go up and they follow inflation, wages, fertiliser, seed, etc.
Over the next 3 months, the ACCC will investigate any mistreatment of bargaining powers between suppliers and supermarkets. The consumer watchdog calling on farmers' input into the review.
Certainly we need them, but we'd certainly like to have a fairer system where we as growers don't have to continually get bigger. So
they are probably at the coalface on these particular issues.
The consumer watchdog is expected to release its findings by the end of the year. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
South Australia Police have spent the day searching for 2 fugitives who evaded the checkpoint from Queensland on Monday. Alex Blake has been wanted over a Queensland warrant and is reported to have been travelling with a female companion. The pair was seen Tuesday afternoon driving a white Toyota Hilux through Port Augusta after travelling into the far north. Anyone with information should contact police. Almost 4,000 people have signed a petition calling for the South Australian Government to let Broken Hill locals in without self-isolating. Its organiser, a local mum, is blown away by the amount of support it's received.
Lucy Hannaford is a mum living in the Silver City. She's just one of many locals that have been affected by South Australia's border restrictions.
We've got so much family in Adelaide, South Australia. They want to come here, we want to go there to see them. It's been 8 months or more since some people have seen their families.
Lucy has set up an online petition to help give the Broken Hill population a voice, calling on the state government to create a travel bubble with the city, meaning no quarantine for locals heading into South Australia.
Nobody wants to get sick. We all want to do the right thing and we don't want to get other people sick too. It's simple, common sense, wash hands, social distance, and don't go anywhere if you're sick.
Within 3 days of the petition being open, more than 3,800 people have signed it. Locals throwing their support behind the call.
It's ridiculous. We haven't had any cases for well over 4 months, so I don't really see why there's need that Broken Hill can't be exempted from that border.
I'd happily have a COVID test days before going to Adelaide, having that cleared.
We've had no cases here and there's a lot of people here need to go to Adelaide, like for hospital.
When asked about the petition, the SA government said it is closely monitoring other jurisdictions like Broken Hills, adding it will not restrict border movement any longer than is necessary to protect the state from COVID-19. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Still to come tonight, concerns over motorbike riders sees cameras installed at Arid Botanic Gardens and a community project completed at the Waiala Men's Shed. Hello again. The Australian Arid Lands Botanic Garden is installing high-resolution monitoring cameras following reports of hooning incidents within the park. The cameras aimed at capturing native animals and plants, as well as keeping an eye on antisocial behaviour.
Looking even closer at what the gardens have to offer. Security cameras soon to be installed at this Port Augusta icon.
Very high resolution hyperfire units can essentially photograph or video things in their native habitat doing what they do without disturbing their day-to-day functions. So you're not altering what they do.
Employees will now be able to delve deeper into the lives of our native plants and animals.
Are they thriving? Are they doing really well? Are their numbers at a critical point that something perhaps might be done to enhance that or stabilise that?
The cameras will not only spy on our native wildlife, but also those not using the gardens in the correct way. The tourism manager says they've had numerous complaints over dangerous driving in and around the gardens in recent times.
An element that is utilising illegal vehicles and motorcycles, etc., which isn't really considerate to A, the environment, and B, the general public that are using the facilities.
The cameras to be put in place thanks to the contribution of the volunteers at the gardens.
And really the friends of the Arid Lands Botanic Gardens for raising the funds and being able to make the purchase on our behalf. So it's great to have passionate people involved in what we're doing.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The Waiala Men's Shed has been working on a community project installing refurbished seating and new planter boxes at St Martin's Church. They say it's a nice place for those waiting outside the hospital across the road to escape to.
Sitting back and enjoying their hard work. This small project, a way for the Waiala Men's Shed to give back.
We help the community, that's for sure, but we try to do most of the work back at the Men's Shed. This is a rare occasion when we come outside.
The idea came about after Reverend Heather from St Martin's Church noticed locals waiting outside the hospital having nowhere to sit. She contacted the shed asking if they could help.
Since I've been here, I noticed that people were hanging over the hospital fence, that they were sitting on the footpath or sitting on a crumbling brick wall that we had.
Now it's a much prettier sight, a small sanctuary open to the public.
They're used every day by hospital staff, by patients, by visitors, and even just by people in our neighbourhood here. So this has become a real community, a real neighbourhood project.
The benches, donated from the Golf Bowling Club, needed some extra love before being installed.
Cleaned up what slats we could and replaced some that were just too far gone. But it was a long period and involved quite a few of the fellas out of the shed.
Very grateful to Gary and the chaps from the Waiala Men's Shed. They've come and put them in, we've planted them up.
Locals can now enjoy some time in the sun away from white hospital walls.
It's a walk across the road, but it's enough to get them away from where they are and what's happening. So it's been really encouraging and we're just so pleased that we could do this.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A Port Lincoln councillor has released a tell-all memoir documenting more than 35 years of her achievements and private struggles. Andrea Broadfoot hopes it will provide a lesson in hope and forgiveness to her readers.
Showing warts and all, Andrea Broadfoot leaves no page unturned in her life story, publishing her first book.
The book's quite astringent and raw, and it's very honest. It's described as unflinching self-awareness.
Just like the title suggests, Andrea shares the lessons she's learnt over the years and how to love and forgive ourselves and others.
And I think that if we're vulnerable, then that's probably the most truthful thing we can be.
The book is a combination of more than 35 years of journal entries, laying her life bare, sharing her past relationships, experiences and life lessons.
Undoubtedly she's been able to expose some things that have happened that often we don't expose, and we women sometimes live with things that have happened to us.
Andrea's already planning her next book.
Yeah, I've already got an idea for another one, and to dive a bit deeper, because this was a skim across the top.
Just a beautiful girl, just love her to bits.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us. Coming up after the break, the Bird Lake upgrade nears completion just in time for summer, and preparations underway for a charity golf day at Broken Hill. Welcome back. The smell of Port Augusta's Bird Lake will be no more come this summer season as part of a rehabilitation project. The project has seen tons of soil spread on the outskirts of the lake, set to be completed by the end of the month.
It's an icon of Port Augusta for the wrong reasons. However, works on Bird Lake are almost finished.
The goal of this project is to provide a capping layer over the algal mat to prevent it from ongoing odour issues.
Those odour issues are a common concern for the surrounding areas through the summer months.
People as far as what we call Flinders Street, which is probably 2 k's away, smelt the stench in their backyards and their pergolas at summertime on a very hot still night. So those people now will be able to enjoy a barbecue out the back without that stench and the smell.
Seeds have been planted within the soil, set to bloom in coming months.
This western side has already been seeded. We're hoping to get a lot of the native vegetation growing up around the perimeter, similar to what you see nearby.
Native plants that we see here now, that's how it will cover that earth and it'll look totally natural, so it'll be fantastic. But the actually spreading of the dirt is nearly complete and already it's an improvement to our access to our city.
The project is said to be completed by the end of the month. Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Waiala's Defaces group is calling on locals from across the region to register for its new regional youth art camping trip. The trip will connect young creatives for a weekend of experimenting with performing arts.
A unique experience filled with dance, circus, performing arts and drama. A dream come true for many young locals.
We really want Defaces to be able to, extend the support it's given to the Waiala creative young people to young people from across SA.
People from Port Augusta, Crystal Brook and even Adelaide already registered for this brand new trip.
We've done other small camps at Defaces before, but this is going to be a large off-site camp. We booked out a campsite at Horbury.
Jamie Lee, a dance tutor who's been on these previous camping trips with Defaces, says it's an experience of a lifetime.
I've been to 2 Muso Magic camps, which were fantastic. They were also sort of art camps in the sense that they did songwriting and creating and film, like making a music video.
Also saying it's a great opportunity for the students to be mentored by professional entertainers, people they can look up to within the local community.
I mean, we still see all the mentors and some of the kids out and about from those Muso Magic camps and things like that, so you make lifelong bonds with these people.
The trip filled with something different for everyone's taste.
We're going to be creating a dance over the 3 days to perform, hopefully, and I'm hoping to teach them how to come up with their own choreography and how to build their own dance steps.
The centre encourages locals to get in quick with limited spots available.
We've still got a number of free beds, but they're filling up quick, so if you want to book for the camp, jump on the Defaces website.
Applications remain open to the public. Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Broken Hill golfers of all skill levels have been invited to put their names down for an upcoming charity golf day, with all money raised going towards a good cause. It's not about shooting par, it's about having fun.
Hitting the links to support those in need.
For Ronald McDonald House Adelaide, and obviously with COVID they're 50% down on their fundraising and they're back to full operations.
The Silver Cities golfers encouraged to put a team in for next Sunday's Ronald McDonald House Charity Golf Day. In its 5th year, the event has been a major fundraiser for the organisation. A few changes made in 2020 though, due to COVID-19.
It's a $50 cost this year, but that includes all your fundraising. So usually we go around with buckets or sell you raffle tickets. None of that will happen.
The golf day is a 4-person Ambrose event, meaning every player gets a shot, the best ball is taken and everyone plays from that spot. Those new to the sport, veterans of the game, all welcome to get a team together.
If you don't have a handicap, men get a 18 handicap, ladies get 27, and someone will explain to you how to score on the day.
Contact the Broken Hill Golf Course for more information. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us. Coming up after the break, Patrick will have this week's Fuel Watch and we'll have the weather with Britt. Welcome back. Time now to see how things are shaping up when we head to the petrol pump. Here's Patrick Reinke with this week's Fuel Watch.
The end of August has not been too good for our regional centres. Majority of prices are on the rise. Starting with unleaded, and Port Lincoln is the first city to see an increase in its average, the price jumping by 2 cents to $1.18. Waiala has been the worst performer over the past week, the Steel City skyrocketing by 7 cents to become the most expensive place in the Spencer Gulf to fill up, the price $1.23. Port Augusta looks to be on the way down but still paying $1.22. Port Pirie, another township to see red in the past 7 days, $1.16 last week, $1.17 this week. Kadina seeing absolutely no movement whatsoever. Broken Hill is holding steady, Silver City motorists paying $1.24 a litre. Adelaide has started its cycle once again, the South Australian capital climbing by more than 30 cents to $1.37. Turning over to diesel now, and it's a mixed bag. Port Lincoln and Port Pirie are the only two places to be completely even-steven, $1.17 the price. Waiala again seeing an increase up to $1.21. Port Augusta is also on the way up, but the change is only minor. Kadina seeing green to start September. Broken Hill doing okay as well, paying around $1.26. Adelaide rounds out the board with a 1 cent decline to a very cheap $1.15 a litre. Finishing off with a quick look at Autogas, and Waiala has jumped to 89 cents, the same price as Port Lincoln, Port Augusta and Kadina. Broken Hill breaking even at 83 and Port Pirie doing the same on 82. Adelaide the only one going down. Now remember that these prices are the regional averages and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. And if you do find a spot that does sell unleaded, autogas or diesel for cheaper, let us know on our Facebook page.
Now for a look at what's happening in the weather, here's Britt.
Thanks Louise and good evening. It's been a mostly sunny day with Broken Hill recording a high of 28 degrees. It reached 26 at Port Augusta and 24 at Port Pirie. Taking a look at the map now, 25 degrees was the high at Waiala today. It reached a top of 22 degrees at Woodna, 21 at Kadina and Cleve. It reached 19 in Adelaide and 17 degrees at Port Lincoln. To the skies where we can see a cold front sending cloud about coastal areas of South Australia and a trough to the west. Moving on to tomorrow now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Winds north to northwesterly at 10 to 15 knots, tending northwest to southwesterly during the day. Seas below 1 metre, increasing to the south through the afternoon, with south to southwesterly swells. And it's looking a little cooler about most parts tomorrow. A possible shower for Port Lincoln, otherwise partly cloudy with a high of 17. Cleve, fine and 18. Woodna, partly cloudy with a top of 19 degrees. Partly cloudy at Waiala with a high of 21. Port Augusta fine tomorrow with a top of 23 degrees. Kadina partly cloudy and 18. Port Pirie partly cloudy, 20 degrees the top there. Clare fine and 15. And finally to Broken Hill, mostly sunny tomorrow with a top of 24 degrees. Taking a look ahead to the end of the week now, fine and partly cloudy across the board on Friday, apart from a shower or two in Adelaide. Port Augusta with a top of 21 degrees, a high of 20 degrees for Woodna, Port Pirie and Broken Hill, Waiala 19, Kadina and Port Lincoln both with tops of 18 degrees. Saturday looking bright and sunny across the region with a little bit of cloud about the lower Eyre Peninsula, a top of 24 degrees for Port Augusta, Woodna with a high of 23 degrees, Port Pirie looking at a top of 22, Waiala and Broken Hill both with highs of 21 degrees, and a top of 19 degrees for both Port Lincoln and Kadina. And finally to Sunday, partly cloudy about the west coast and the lower Eyre Peninsula, but sunny skies elsewhere. Warming up to a top of 29 degrees at Woodna, Port Augusta warming up to 28, Waiala and Port Pirie both looking to reach 26 degrees, Port Lincoln and Broken Hill both with tops of 24, and a top of 23 degrees for both Kadina and Adelaide. And Louise, that is this week's weather, and with that, it's back to you.
Lovely, thank you for that, Britt. And before we leave you tonight, here's some vision of some lucky drivers being treated to a stunning display in the far north today. Many pulling over to take some snaps of a sea of Stirk Desert peas. Thousands of the native flowers have blossomed just 30 kilometres south of Roxby Downs. The vibrant colours quite a contrast to the orange dirt surrounding them. And that wraps up your local news for this Wednesday evening. Thank you for joining us. We'll have updates later. Until then, have a lovely and safe evening. Good night.